The early hours of the morning are usually the quietest. The streets are empty, the city is asleep, and a solitary, dark sedan parked in a deserted neighborhood rarely registers as unusual. But the people who approached this specific car that morning immediately realized something was terribly wrong. Slumped over the steering wheel was a man named Rahul Mehra. His shirt was soaked in blood, and he was already dead. The first thing investigators look for in a vehicle homicide is the point of entry. But walking around Rahul's car, police found pristine glass and untouched door frames. There were no shattered windows, no scratches around the locks, and absolutely no signs of an exterior struggle. The inside of the cabin, however, offered a sharp contrast to the clean exterior. Sitting neatly on the center console were two disposable coffee cups. Right next to them, resting on the passenger seat, were a few distinct strands of long hair. The lack of forced entry combined with those two cups established an immediate physical fact. Rahul hadn't been ambushed by a stranger breaking into his car. He had willingly unlocked the doors and let his killer inside. To understand why someone would be sitting in that passenger seat, police looked into Rahul's background. What they found was a thoroughly ordinary, highly responsible citizen. He had a stable career, no criminal ties, and zero known enemies. The timeline of his evening only deepened the confusion. Just hours before his body was found, Rahul had called his wife, Neha. His voice was calm, and he told her a simple, everyday phrase, "I'm just a few minutes away from home." He never made it. And that left the police operating in a total investigative vacuum. They had a brutal murder of a seemingly perfect family man, no obvious financial or personal motives, and a crime scene that offered very little physical evidence to trace. It presents a terrifying paradox. A man living a completely safe, predictable life ended up the victim of a violent homicide, and the evidence suggests he didn't even see the threat coming. With the physical evidence yielding no immediate suspects, investigators began working backward. They retraced Rahul's steps to find the last person to verify seeing him alive. That person was his close friend, Amit Khanna. The cameras caught two silhouettes, clearly distinguishing the passenger as a female figure. That single frame of security video suggests a specific intent. Rahul had driven out of his way to pick up a passenger, turning the investigation into a search for a premeditated meeting. To identify the woman in the car, police transitioned from physical tracking to digital forensics. They pulled Rahul's call detail records, the logged metadata of every communication from his mobile device. Look at this visualization of call data. When you filter through thousands of mundane, everyday calls to family and colleagues, you watch the normal behavior fade out, allowing anomalous communication patterns to light up. And one specific anomaly spiked drastically in Rahul's recent history. Over a short period, there was a sudden surge of frequent late-night phone conversations, all stretching for long durations, connected to a single undocumented number. Police traced that specific phone number directly to its owner. Her name was Sonia Verma. Whoever planned this murder thought they had carefully sanitized the physical crime scene, but by establishing contact over a mobile network, they wove an invisible digital threat directly from the victim to the suspect, shattering their anonymity. When investigators brought Sonia in for interrogation, she started with a string of denials. She claimed she barely knew Rahul, but as soon as police dropped the irrefutable call logs on the table, her story collapsed. Sonia's role was psychological. She served as the lure, building enough rapport to bring Rahul into the trap, while Vikram Singh provided the physical force, fueled by his own financial desperation. Their timeline was highly calculated. For weeks, Sonia used those late-night calls to build a false sense of intimacy. She weaponized that trust to convince Rahul to meet her on a dark, isolated street, far away from witnesses. Once inside the car, the trap was sprung. Sonia reached over and offered the unsuspecting Rahul a steaming, disposable coffee cup. What he didn't know was that the drink was heavily laced with narcotics. The drugs initiated a rapid physiological takeover. Within minutes, the narcotics suppressed Rahul's central nervous system, incapacitating him and completely stripping away his ability to defend himself. That was the signal. Vikram, who had been tracking them in the shadows, emerged and entered the vehicle. Alongside Sonia, he executed the ambush, murdering Rahul and stripping him of his cash and valuables. The murder operated as a calculated financial transaction. Sonia and Vikram used the appearance of a friendly meeting to secure a position where they could kill and rob him with minimal resistance. Sonia and Vikram operated on a core criminal fallacy. They assumed that by striking in the dead of night, on an empty street with no human witnesses, they had insulated themselves from consequence. What they failed to account for is the silent digital witness network. It is an automated, interconnected system of surveillance and data logging that modern criminals continually underestimate. This diagram illustrates the three pillars that trapped them. Telecom towers pinging their cell phones proved their exact location. The hotel CCTV proved their physical movement. And finally, the long hair and the poisoned coffee cup locked in their physical presence inside the cabin. With the evidence triangulated, the outcome was immediate. Both Sonia and Vikram were swiftly tracked down, arrested, and charged with the murder of Rahul Mehra. Modern investigators use these overlapping data points to reconstruct movements that once stayed hidden in the dark. But the digital forensics only explain how the killers were caught. The true tragedy lies in how Rahul was compromised in the first place. His death was secured by a single wrong decision, driven entirely by misplaced trust. Sonia and Vikram exploited the vulnerability of human rapport. By securing Rahul's trust first, they rendered his car's locks and his own natural defenses completely irrelevant. It serves as a stark reminder. The most lethal threats rarely hide in dark alleys waiting to ambush us. Sometimes they sit right next to us in the passenger seat, completely concealed behind a friendly smile and the illusion of trust.